So we have been discussing about the nature of humans in relation to the reminder of creation, our position in the natural world. So morning we have been discussing on genetics level and also human evolution level, and also what will happen to human species far into future, maybe in another 20 million years. So even though there were many disappointments we faced in our presentation, but towards the end we arrived to a consensus that humans can do it. I mean, after all, they have a very, very strong inner dimension, which is very positive and good. And after all, human species is a benign species, good species, capable of doing a lot of good things for nature. So I think we agreed that we can give it a try, and we can employ and we can trust Homo sapiens with the stewardship of whole of creation. So after all, humans live in creation. Creation accepts human as part of its own system. So when nature has faith in the species called Homo sapiens, I think it is very, very reciprocal that humans also should trust nature. So yesterday we were discussing about Jack Rogers, the theological classification of 8 different levels of interpreting the reality. So the number C, in humanity, we were discussing about any form of radical dualism between humanity and nature must be rejected. Humans are co-creatures with the nature. However, humans do seem to have some unique relationship with God. Rogers, that is theologian Jack Rogers and his associates, suggest that humans ought to be caretakers within nature. So there is a certain amount of responsibility is weighing on the part of humans. So that is the challenge for human species into the future. In Laudato Si, paragraph number 139, Pope Francis writes as follows on humanity and nature. When we speak of the environment or nature, what we really mean is a relationship existing between nature and the humans, which lives in it. Nature cannot be regarded as something separate from ourselves or as a mere setting in which we live. We are faced not with 2 separate crises, one environmental and the other social, but rather with one complex crisis which is both social and environmental. Strategies for a solution demand an integrated approach to combating poverty, restoring dignity to the excluded, and at the same time protecting nature. So Pope Francis is reflecting the same idea of theologian Jack Rogers. There is no dualism. Both of them are one. The environment and the society, that means human, both of them are one. They are not separate. So far we have been disillusioned that humans are out of nature, nature is out of human. No, that is not true. Both of them are one reality. Pope Francis continues writing in the paragraph number 81, human beings, even if we postulate a process of evolution, also possess a uniqueness which cannot be fully explained by the evolution of other open systems. Each of us as is, or our own personal identity, and is capable of entering into dialogue with others and with God Himself. Our capacity to reason, to develop arguments, to be inventive, to interpret reality and to create art, along with other not yet discovered capacities, or signs of a uniqueness which transcends the spheres of physics and biology. The biblical accounts of creation invite us to see each human being as a subject who can never be reduced to the status of an object. So that is a beautiful writing. That means we have equipped with every skill that is necessary to care for creation. Frederick Elder, in 1970, wrote a book called Crisis in Eden. In that book, he states that one's view of the relation of humanity to nature was a crucial theological foundation. He noted two basic views, which he labeled the inclusionist, those who see humans as part of nature. They are mostly scientists, all right? Inclusionists, those who see humans as part of nature. There is no dualism, all right? And the exclusionists, they are all theologians, popes, archbishops, bishops, priests, seminarians. They are known as exclusionists. Those who sharply separate humans from nature and are confident that humans have the right and ability to manipulate nature through science and technology. So we ended up in anthropocentrism. That means creation is created only for human amusement and enjoyment. All the creatures in the natural world are human amusements. So only human should enjoy using them. No other creature, they have any more rights. Their rights are only pleasing humans. So that is the kind of reductionism we have ended up. So today, the Christianity mostly taught 2000 years dominion. You can control them, you can use them, kill them, exploit them, pillage them, manipulate them. So this is the kind of theology we created for the past 2000 years. So Frederick Elder, he is warning about that kind of approach. So what is anthropocentrism? It is clear that the latter position, facilitated by the Cartesian concept of a mechanistic universe, has in common practice resulted in ecological turmoil. Humanity has shifted from participation in a complex system of equilibrium with the natural cybernetics to a growth-oriented society focused on the acquisition of power and utilizing artificial rather than natural mechanisms to achieve some kind of control of the environment. See, it's very clear. Anthropocentrism is not that you cooperate with the functioning of the ecosystem, but anthropocentrism, it is a self-centered approach that I'm going to use them. I mean, anthropocentrism is not working for the common good of the ecosystem or the common good of the universe, but anthropocentrism is working for the self-interest. It is a profit-oriented, growth-oriented society. So that is how anthropocentrism is defined. Pope Francis in paragraph number 115 talks about anthropocentrism, and it's very very enlightening when you read it. Modern anthropocentrism has paradoxically ended up prizing technical thought over reality, since the technological mind sees nature as an insensate order, as a cold body of facts, as a mere given, as an object of utility, as raw material to be hammered into useful shape. It views the cosmos similarly as a mere space into which objects can be thrown with the complete indifference. The intrinsic dignity of the world is thus compromised. When human beings fail to find their true place in this world, they misunderstand themselves and end up acting against themselves. Not only has God given the earth to man, who must use it with respect for the original good purpose for which it was given, but man too is God's gift to man. He must therefore respect the natural and moral structure with which he has been endowed. You see, the whole day discussion, what we have been doing, Pope is recommending that in the middle of the paragraph. See, when human beings fail to find their own true place in this world, see there, they misunderstand themselves and end up acting against themselves. That is the reason why it is so important to discuss the second pillar of ecotheology, the nature of humans in relation to the remainder of creation. So even Pope is agreeing with us. 116 Laudato Si. It is a brilliant, he calls it excessive anthropocentrism. That is really stunning. Modernity has been marked by an excessive anthropocentrism, which today, under another guise, continues to stand in the way of shared understanding and of any effort to strengthen social bonds. An inadequate presentation of Christian anthropology. See the wording. An inadequate presentation of Christian anthropology for the past 2000 years, all right, gave rise to a wrong understanding of the relationship between human beings and the nature. Often, what was handed on was a Promethean vision of mastery over the world, which gave the impression that the protection of nature was something that only the faint-hearted cared about. Instead, our dominion over the universe should be understood more properly in the sense of responsible stewardship. Pope Francis is telling the dominion, the rule over 2 times. You remember Genesis chapter 1, verse 26 and 28? He is telling that means it is, you should exercise a sense of responsible stewardship. That is what it means to be ruling over. You understand that? Rule over means it is a sense of responsible stewardship. Nothing else. In 1945, Russian writer Vernadsky is a Russian writer. He warned that the modern world is controlled by the mind, reason, by the brain. The shift-led scientist W.I. Vernadsky to suggest that we think of the noosphere, a world dominated by the mind of man, as gradually replacing the biosphere, the naturally evolving world. noosphere means the realm of the mind, the realm of the mind, or mind realm, okay, surrounding your brain, surrounding your reasoning, etc., etc. Actually, in evolution, before noosphere, already 4 kinds of evolutions took place. Lithosphere, that is about the land. Hydrosphere, it's about water. And atmosphere, it's about air. And biosphere, it's about life forms on the planet Earth. So evolution has taken place in all these 4 realms. So now evolution is taking place in the 5th realm called here. So morning somebody asked, is there any new life forms will appear into future? Actually, that's a good question in the sense that you see all the 4 realms already happened, but the evolution is happening now here, in the inside of human being. You can't observe it. So a lot of things are happening here. Even if you don't observe, but still you can't reject. That has already happened for the past 4 million years. A lot of things happen inside, which we cannot see. That is what this man is writing. So mostly we are talking about the laws of ethics, values and morals. In human thinking, there is good thinking and bad thinking. So today, lot of countries, they don't have any values. Our political leaders, absolutely there is no ethics, there is no morals. So actually ecologist Eugene Odom considers this as a dangerous philosophy because humanity has not shown itself wise enough to deal with the complex, interactive nature of actions and reactions. Odom suggests that ecological understanding and moral responsibility must keep pace with humanity's power to effect changes so that we may achieve unlimited ingenuity in perpetuating a cyclic abundance of resources. This can only occur as humans perceive themselves as part of the ecosystem and act responsibly towards the whole of creation. And ecological theology supports such a view. So when you think that you are part of the ecosystem, then you will hesitate to destroy it. When you see ecosystem is not part of me, it is outside, you will go and exploit it. So that is what he is telling. This can only occur as humans perceive themselves as part of the ecosystem and act responsibly towards the whole of creation. Pope Francis in the paragraph number 110, he approves of such a beautiful idea. A science which would offer solutions to the great issues would necessarily have to take into account the data generated by other fields of knowledge, including philosophy and social ethics. That is very important. We need to bring social ethics, morals, and values so that we can establish a right relationship with nature. But this is a difficult habit to acquire today, nor are there genuine ethical horizons to which one can appeal. Life gradually becomes a surrender to situations conditioned by technology, itself viewed as the principal key to the meaning of existence. In the concrete situation confronting us, there are a number of symptoms which point to what is wrong, such as environmental degradation, anxiety, a loss of the purpose of life and of community living. Once more, we see that realities are more important than ideas. You see, first of all, our starting point should be that we are of soil. You know what? We are made up of soil. So that makes us an ecosystem itself. You see, lot of ecosystem, mountains, tropical rainforest, deserts, lakes, tundra, taiga, boreal, all ecosystems. They are made up of soil and they have resources. Each ecosystem have so many resources. Like in Tamil, Kurinji, Mullai, Marudam, Neidal, Palai, they are ecosystems. Each Tinai has plenty of resources. So man himself is one of the Tinai. It is not Kurinji, Mullai, Marudam, Neidal, Palai, Manidam. Sixth ecosystem is Manidam. That is human. So there are about 20 ecosystems and 21 ecosystem is human. Because you are made up of soil. That makes you. That's what Jesus says in the parable of the sower. When disciples did not understand, they asked, "What did you say, Jesus? We didn't understand." Then he says, you see, the seed is not sown in the soil. The seed is sown inside the heart of every human. That makes you are the ecosystem. And you are going to produce 60, 80, 100%. So you have resources inside. Lot of resources, mercy, empathy, responsibility, faithfulness, hope, ethics, morals, values, all are the product of those seeds. So you are growing crops inside your ecosystem. That is what we need to recognize. So we are not imago Dei. That is not the one we need to refer here. We need to refer that we are soil beings. Then only our relationship can be stronger than ever. When you say I'm imago Dei, you are ready to fly to moon, fly to the sky, to the cloud. But when you say I am a soil being, you are going to bond with the other ecosystem. So that is what here we are reading in the writing of Boniface in 1970. He states it well. We are of the world, and the ontology of man depends upon a general ontology which includes matter. That means soil. Jürgen Moltmann puts it so beautifully. He says, we are not much of imago Dei, but we are imago mundi. That is man of soil, man of the world. That is a beautiful word. Moltmann, in 1985, God in Creation, argues in much the same way. It is important for the way the human being understands himself that he should not see himself initially as subject over against nature and theologically as the image of God, but that he should first of all view himself as the product of nature and theologically too as imago mundi. That humans are ontologically one with nature is the primary reality. The relationship between humans and the remainder of creation must proceed from that fact. You understand? All ecosystems are filled by humans. You tell me one place where humans are not set their foot. Every ecosystem. You go to mountaintop, they are there. You go to the ocean, humans are there. I mean, you go to even space station, humans are there. Every ecosystem, every biome, every part of creation is filled with the human presence. There is no enough space for other creatures. We have filled the land. Some confusion and a number of ecologists' condemnation of the Judeo-Christian tradition has resulted from the perception that the Bible advocates human domination of nature. The exhortation to be fruitful and increase in number, fill the earth and subdue it, rule over the fish of the sea and the birds of the air and over every living creature, has been seen as the theological justification for human exploitation of nature and abuse of the environment. A 1970 study by the Massachusetts Institute of Technology detailed the extent of such ecological demand by illustrating in several spheres of life how much humanity demands today from the environment. Moltmann notes that the Global 2000 report to the President in 1980 forecast that the world population will increase to 6.35 billion by the year 2000 and will total 10 billion in 2030. Oh my God. Already humans are filled everywhere, but 10 billion people, that is about 2.5 or 3 billion people more. Where are we going to put them all? So this is what that biblical mandate, that is Genesis 1:26, fill the earth. So we have misunderstood. Fill the earth with goodness. That is what the God meant. That is what, fill the earth with empathy, fill the earth with human compassion. So that is how we need to understand. But today only we are increasing our population. We are thinking about only human species, nothing else. Fill our species in every nook and cranny of the planet. It doesn't work that way. Only human progress, human future, human development, human achievements, and human salvation, human redemption. Everything is human, as if nobody is existing on the planet. Nobody else. Only one species is living on the planet. So that is the image we are getting here. Douglas John Hall, in 1986, he warned, and that many have adopted the language of the conquest of nature. So let us conquer all the world. What happened during the time of colonialism? India was colonized by British. All these Western people, the Christian countries colonized all over the world, especially in the poor countries like Africa. Everything came from the dominium terrae. They thought, let us white people go conquer all these black people and take their resources and suppress them, exploit them. So that is how they understood the conquest of nature. Even the most charitable interpretation includes the element of control and is susceptible to the manipulation and abuse which have been evidenced in our society. Lauren Wilkinson indicates that all too often throughout history, well-functioning ecosystems have been converted into deserts, dirt bowls, and cesspools. Humans have attempted to replace natural ecosystems with synthetic ones. Farmland, agro ecosystems, and urban complexes. If care is not given to the principles of natural ecosystem survival, the system itself is threatened by the depletion of resources. Did God intend such unrestrained human domination of nature? In what sense has God given the earth to humanity? Wow, such a beautiful question. See, this is unbelievable. Humans have tampered every ecosystem and manipulated them to their own advantage. They never work for the common good of the nature. They work for only self-interest, that is, human interest only. Pope Francis is writing in Laudato Si 6 paragraphs, 130 to 136, on biological technologies, how we destroyed the land, the water, the air, all the ecosystems. One example I want to read for you. This then is the correct framework for any reflection concerning human intervention on plants and animals, which at present include genetic manipulation by biotechnology for the sake of exploiting the potential present in material reality. The respect owed by faith to reason calls for close attention to what the biological sciences, through research, uninfluenced by economic interest, can teach us about biological structures, their possibilities and their mutations. Any legitimate intervention will act on nature only in order to favor its development in its own line, that of creation as intended by God. Actually, Moltmann thinks that dominion or rule over the commandment what God gave, it was not exploiting mandate, but he thinks it was a dietary commandment. It's about eating and go and take the food. That is dominion. Rule over means the planet itself is giving food. Sometimes food is falling under the tree. So that allows us to take the food. So dominion, both the sides. Humans can take food, but nature also dominantly it gives you, dispenses food for you. The whole natural world is inviting, take it and eat it, this is my body. That is how nature is calling you. The bananas in the plant tree, the plantation tree, they are inviting you, take it and eat it, this is my body. The mangoes in the trees, they call you, take it and eat it, this is my body. The chickens in the farms, the goats, the sheep, all of them crying out loud, take it and eat it, this is my body. So that is dominion. They are giving their input, their resources, they are sharing with humans. The humans also share their own resources with the natural world. Moltmann compares the command to rule to the way in which God relates to his creation. The specific biblical concept of subduing the earth has nothing to do with the charge to rule over the world, which theological tradition taught for 2 centuries as the dominium terrae. The biblical charge is a dietary commandment. Human beings and animals alike ought to live from the fruits which the earth brings forth in the forms of plants and trees. A seizure of power over nature is not intended. Actually, when God gave you dominion, you were an imago Dei, you were image of God. So you understood in a right sense. You remember that? You never lost grace. You were like an angel. So that's why God gave you dominion. So you are in a position of understanding what dominion. Dominion in God's language means it's a compassion, it's a mercy, forgiveness. It is a benevolence. That is what God's dominion. But when they committed sin, that understanding disappeared. Only human understanding. Dominion means exploitation, domination, pillaging, control, manipulation. See, when God gave dominion to imago Dei, that is wonderful, wonderful. But humans committed sin and distorted the whole mandate. The charge to rule can be found only in Genesis 1:26. But here having dominion is linked with the correspondence between human beings and God, the creator and preserver of the world. The correspondence which is meant when the human being is described as being the image of God. Because human beings and animals are to live from the fruits of the earth. The rule of human beings over the animals can only be a rule of peace. The role which human beings are meant to play is the role of a justice of peace. Laudato Si 67, Pope is explaining so beautifully. It is a beautiful paragraph. Already you came across Laudato Si paragraph number 67 yesterday. You remember? Where Pope was admitting that Lynn White Jr. charge is true. He wrote an article in 1967, The Historical Roots of Our Ecological Crisis. For that, symbolically, for 1967 article, he is responding in the paragraph number 67. All right? So in the same paragraph, he is continuing to explain what dominion means. So now he goes to the text, to the second chapter, that is Genesis 2:15. That is more relevant for today and for the future ministry of priests, bishops, and other people. The biblical text ought to be read in their context with an appropriate hermeneutic, recognizing that they tell us to till and keep the garden of the world, Genesis 2:15. Tilling refers to cultivating, plowing, or working, while keeping means caring, protecting, overseeing, and preserving. This implies a relationship of mutual responsibility between human beings and nature. Each community can take from the bounty of the earth whatever it needs for subsistence, but it also has the duty to protect the earth and to ensure its fruitfulness for coming generations. The earth is the Lord's, Psalm 24:1. To him belongs the earth with all that is within it, Deuteronomy 10:14. Thus, God rejects every claim to absolute ownership. The land shall not be sold in perpetuity, for the land is mine. For you are strangers and sojourners with me, Leviticus 25:23. So we have come almost to the last part of our presentation, where you come across this new word called human ecology. What is human ecology? I just now I explain. Human ecology means we consider human being as an ecosystem because you are made out of soil. I already explained, isn't it? So that is what human ecology means. We have resources too inside. I told you mercy, empathy, it is here. So when you look your own resources, that is the resources you are going to share with nature. So far, you were exploiting nature's resources, gold, silver, iron ore, coal, fossil fuel, you see. Everything you were extracting from nature. But now time has come to give your resources, share your resources to nature. See, lot of resources you have: responsibility, faithfulness, and accountability. Above all, values, ethics, above all, morals. See how many resources you have. Above all, righteousness, dharma. In Tamil, aram. That is what. If you have aram and righteousness, you will not exploit nature. If you have dharma, you will never exploit nature. So 155 of Laudato Si, Pope writes, human ecology also implies another profound reality, the relationship between human life and the moral law, which is inscribed in our nature and is necessary for the creation of a more dignified environment. Pope Benedict XVI spoke of an ecology of man based on the fact that man too has a nature that he must respect and that he cannot manipulate at will. 205, Pope Francis expressing hope, hope in this Homo sapiens. He is telling, after all, humans are good species. So we want to end the presentation with a good note about humans. That is very important. Yet all is not lost. Human beings, while capable of the worst, are also capable of rising above themselves, choosing again what is good, and making a new start despite their mental and social conditioning. We are able to take an honest look at ourselves, to acknowledge our deep dissatisfaction, and to embark on new paths to authentic freedom. No system can completely suppress our openness to what is good, true, and beautiful, or our God-given ability to respond to His grace at work deep in our hearts. I appeal to everyone throughout the world not to forget this dignity which is ours. No one has the right to take it from us. In 208th paragraph, he writes as follows: we are always capable of going out of ourselves towards the other. Unless we do this, other creatures will not be recognized for their true worth. We are unconcerned about caring for things for the sake of others. We fail to set limits on ourselves in order to avoid the suffering of others or the deterioration of our surroundings. Disinterested concern for others and the rejection of every form of self-centeredness and self-absorption are essential if we truly wish to care for our brothers and sisters and for the natural environment. These attitudes also attune us to the moral imperative of assessing the impact of every action and personal decision on the world around us. If we can overcome individualism, we will truly be able to develop a different lifestyle and bring about significant changes in society. 2 to 4. Sobriety and humility were not favorably regarded in the last century. And yet, when there is a general breakdown in the exercise of a certain virtue in personal and social life, it ends up causing a number of imbalances, including environmental ones. That is why it is no longer enough to speak only about the integrity of ecosystems. We have to dare to speak of the integrity of human life, of the need to promote and unify all the great values. Once we lose our humility and become enthralled with the possibility of limitless mastery over everything, we inevitably end up harming society and the environment. It is not easy to promote this kind of healthy humility or happy sobriety when we consider ourselves autonomous, when we exclude God from our lives or replace Him with our own ego and think that our subjective feelings can define what is right and what is wrong. So I would like to see author Jürgen Moltmann, theologian Jürgen Moltmann, to conclude our discussion on the nature of humans in relation with the remainder of creation. These views are consistent with the humanity which is part of creation. Humanity is not the subject and the world not the object. Humans act within creation to protect it. In this sense, it remains God's creation. It cannot be claimed by men and women. It can only be accepted as a loan and administered as a trust.